Samir had always been a quiet kid. Not shy, not withdrawn, just observant, sensitive to shifts in tone, to the pause before a sigh, to the way people looked at each other when they thought no one else noticed. It wasn't something he was taught. It was something he learned. From the room down the hall, his parents didn't scream. They argued in low voices, in clipped phrases behind thin walls. But the house was full of tension, the kind that clung to the corners like dust. They fought about normal things. Bills, dishes, deadlines, the thermostat. But they fought like everything depended on it. His father, Ravi, was a hard man to read, stoic and sharp, a software engineer with a long commute and an even longer fuse that always seemed ready to spark. His mother, Neha, was a high school teacher who came home tired, with kind eyes and clenched hands. Samir could sense when the mood was about to shift. It started small. A silence over dinner, a deep breath at the wrong moment, a plate set down too hard. That was when he learned to shrink, to gather his homework and excuse himself early, to turn up the volume of his laptop just enough to muffle their voices. He was 10 the first time he tried to mediate. He stood in the hallway between their rooms, saying things like, "Can we all just calm down?" and "Maybe it's just a misunderstanding." His mother had smiled tightly and kissed his forehead. His father didn't say a word. It never worked, so he stopped. By 12, Samir had mastered invisibility. He got good grades, stayed out of trouble, cleaned his room, and kept his voice low. He was the kid teachers liked and classmates overlooked. He didn't invite anyone over. How could he explain that sometimes home wasn't loud, but it wasn't safe either? He began to measure his days in silences. The hours after arguments, the quiet tension over breakfast, the days of avoidance before things went back to normal, which meant his parents would carry on as if nothing had happened. They never apologized, not to each other, not to him. When he was 14, the physical symptoms started. His stomach ached constantly, his head buzzed at night. Sleep was elusive. He'd lie in bed replaying conversations, trying to figure out if he'd done something wrong. One evening, after a particularly heavy silence at dinner, he asked his mom if everything was okay. She smiled and said, "Of course. Just a long day." But Samir knew it wasn't just one day. It was every day. He started staying late after school, joining clubs he didn't care about, wandering the library stacks pretending to study, because it was easier than going home. He envied friends who complained about curfews, about their parents texting too much. His phone stayed silent. At 16, he wrote a short story for English class about a house that whispered at night. A house that looked perfect from the outside, but echoed with quiet arguments and broken promises. His teacher called it haunting, said it read like a metaphor. It wasn't. When he turned 17, his counselor suggested he try journaling. So he did, late at night, in a battered notebook with a broken spine. Page after page of things he'd never say out loud. "I'm not scared of them. I'm scared of becoming them. Is it my job to fix them? Why do they love me but hate each other?" He'd begun to realize something. His parents didn't want to hurt him. They just didn't know how to stop hurting themselves. They stayed together out of obligation, or inertia, or fear. He wasn't sure, but what he did know was this. He was not okay, and no one had noticed. On the night before his 18th birthday, another quiet fight. Something small, something stupid, the microwave, the groceries, a forgotten message. It didn't matter. Samir packed a bag. He left a note on the fridge, not angry, just honest. "I love you both, but I can't keep living in a house where no one talks unless they're tired, upset, or pretending. I'm not angry. I'm just done trying to fill the silence. I hope you find peace. I need to find mine." Then he left. He moved into a small apartment near campus, shared with a friend from school. It wasn't much, but it was his. He cooked his own meals. Woke up to quiet that didn't weigh on him. He still got stomachaches sometimes. Still startled when voices rose. But he was learning, healing, slowly. He called his parents once a week. They asked how he was. He said he was doing fine. They didn't mention the note. He didn't press. He wasn't trying to fix it anymore. That wasn't his job. Now, years later, Samir volunteers part-time at a youth support center. He talks to kids with homes like his. He listens more than he speaks. He tells them what no one told him. Just because no one hit you doesn't mean it didn't hurt. You don't have to break to walk away. You don't owe anyone your silence. He still writes sometimes. Stories, essays, letters he never sends. The house he grew up in still stands. But it doesn't haunt him anymore. It taught him something. That pain can be quiet. That healing takes time. That some storms don't end with thunder, but with distance. And that even in the quiet, you deserve to be heard.